Yo, why can't we just admit that Jay-Z has only had like 1 to 2 hits by himself? Listen.
I've seen many people stitch that video and just alluded it to, you know what, this Caucasian youth don't know what he's talking about, which in ways is kind of fair. But I do think it's a great opportunity to really talk about hit records and hip hop, what it used to mean back in the day, what it means within the hip hop community, and what it means to America. Okay, so to be fair, Jay-Z does have 3 solo hits, at least in the way that I define a hit. Let's talk about it. So the way I'm going to define a hit here is going to be any song that makes it into the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. Okay? Now, what can we conclude about the Billboard Hot 100? It includes all genres, okay? And it gauges the listening of every demographic in America, whether it's through radio streams from back in the day, and now we're in the era where we want to consider streaming numbers, YouTube, etc. Okay? So we need to talk about Jay-Z having 22 top 10 hits. And out of those 22 top 10 hits, 3 of them are solo records. And they are as follows, right? Dirt Off Your Shoulder, Show Me What You Got, and H to the Izzo. There are 2 more records that are listed as solo, but they have Pharrell on there, and they do not credit Pharrell. So Pharrell is uncredited. I did not include those. So we're going to give 3 top 10 hits to Jay-Z as a solo act. Now, here's the thing, okay? I'm going to compare this with other great hip-hop artists, and only one of them from that era is going to stand out. And he's going to stand out for multiple reasons. And I have checked on the dude that I'm stitching video. Take a wild guess who that artist is. It is his favorite artist, and it is who he thinks is the GOAT. But it's not just about color, all right? Color does play a role, but it's not just about color, okay? So let's compare Jay-Z to a few other artists from the era that he was in, okay, that may have not had the same longevity, but are clearly, viewed as legends as well, right? I've got Nas with 2 top 10 hits. None of them are solo, but again, context matters. Nas was never looked at as the guy that was chasing hits all the time. He's looked at more of a conscious rapper. But that's not where this all ends. Let's keep going. Biggie, obviously, short career, had 5 top 10 hits. 3 of them are technically solo, but out of those 3, 2 have uncredited vocals from artists, right? And one of them is truly Biggie solo by himself. And that record would be Big Papa, right? Then you've got Tupac, who also had a short career, but obviously Tupac worked overtime, had a lot of records, but even he still only had 2 top 10 hits. One of them was with a feature, the other one was without, and that one without a feature was Dear Mama, okay? Then you've got DMX with 0 top 10 hits, which is a shocker, but we're going to reference him again later on because I know you're probably thinking to yourself, there are a number of DMX hits that are legendary, classic, especially in the hip-hop community, but also in America, right? In movies, etc. Yeah, I know. Let's keep going. Now, what do we have here? Marshall Mathers, Eminem, has 23 top 10 hits. And out of those 23 top 10 hits, I count 13 as solo hits. Ladies and gentlemen, we got problems. Let's deep dive. Okay, so let's break it down. In the era in which Jay-Z was rapping, along with, the DMX and Nas or the Eminems of the world, the conventional thing was not for a hip-hop artist to make hip-hop songs and cross over to what you would consider a hit in the example that I just used, the top 10 records, right? The conventional way to go about it was to attach some kind of pop singer, R&B singer, and to try to gain a little more mass appeal, right? To kind of cross over, right? To get the rest of America that were not traditional hip hop listeners, but also a large demographic of America that did not look like us, okay? So that's the first thing. Now, the person that would sort of disprove that theory would be Eminem. Like I said, he has almost 13 top 10 hits. And there are 2 things why Eminem kind of disproves that. And Jay-Z does have a little bit of this too, which is Eminem kept rapping all the way through the streaming era. And through the streaming era, it changed how hits were being, classified, or in the way that I use it, right? And it would be the flaw in my judgment, which is you release an album, all of it is going up to Spotify. Of course, people are going to go check out your album. they would run up those streams, and streaming numbers on Spotify, Apple, etc. played a role in how Billboard measured whether, a record would chart. So that's why you see that sort of irregularity a bit in Eminem's numbers. But the biggest piece of Eminem numbers, again, like I used to tell you guys before, is Eminem has a mass appeal, okay, that is in conjunction with his skin color. It just is what it is, right? So the more chances Eminem has when he's being played in rock stations and songs like, Clean Out My Closet or The Real Slim Shady are getting spins in non-traditional, rap world and pop radio, things like that, obviously they are going to chart higher. Does that mean that that record is now considered a hit and where he started? Not necessarily. It may be liked, it may be enjoyed, but that's just kind of sort of that wrench that's thrown in there. So that's a big part of Eminem, right? If you look at some of the records that charted top 10 for Eminem, if I tell them to you, they are not hits in a club. They are sometimes not even hits in terms of, whether any demographic of Americans would play them at parties. I'll list some of them to you. Berserk, Houdini, We Made You, The Ringer. What a lot of those songs share are not only are they, I guess, relatable to a certain demographic, they were released a lot later in Eminem's career, right? A lot of the songs that were released early in his career that I could see being hits to America, but not hits to urban radio and the rap community, could be songs like Cleaning Out My Closet, The Real Slim Shady, and Without Me. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is you can take many metrics and you can use them to kind of give you a little bit of confirmation bias and say, oh, well, that's why this guy's the best or this guy's not the GOAT. And you may prefer one rapper over another. But the reality is there's a lot more that goes into numbers. There's a lot more context into explaining why certain rappers 20, 15, 10 years down the line may have certain accolades. But that does not remove them from the conversation as far as being the GOAT. And there are some things that, unfortunately, that gentleman doesn't understand that you can't quantify. A big part for me and why I tell people if they don't understand why Jay-Z is regarded as the GOAT, which can still be just an opinion thing, is that he checks off a lot of boxes, right? And he has the longevity to go with it, okay? And a big part of why a lot of people like him, and I checked the page, you love Eminem, is you may take some of these metrics and you may not understand that those metrics come with a little bit of asterisk, right? So that's just is what it is. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them, okay? So I hope this all makes sense. It made sense to me. It made sense to me. The metric you're using, most of the people that a lot of other folks will consider GOATs don't even have solo top 10 hits, right? Or as many as even a Jay-Z. And the person that that I've looked at your page that you consider the GOAT, his hits aren't regarded as, true quote unquote hits, right? And I've explained why they end up on the Billboard Top 100 as a hit, but the game is the game. We accept it. We play it. I know some of you are still going to cry, all right? No one's race baiting. The truth is just the truth, okay? Live with it. Don't live with it. It is what it is. And one thing I should mention, if you just kind of take the race factor thing sort of out of it, is that we are moving to an era in which a lot of younger people who are looking back on hip-hop history, right, and just in conclusion to this video, they don't know that some of the measurables they're using right now to quantify who's what and who's the GOAT were not that relevant back then. Because of streaming now, a lot more hip-hop records outside of race, demographics, who you appeal to, are showing up on Billboard Top hundreds or top 10 etc, and they're able to become a hit because hip-hop and a lot of road has been paved by people like Jay-Z, Eminem too, yeah, DMX, whatever, has been paved for more rap records to be able to be played in different spaces, thus giving it more of a chance to become a hit in America.